Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Linda Sue Plans for You. Thank you for coming back if you're an avid follower of my channel, and for those of you that are new to my channel, I hope you'll enjoy this video, and if you like it, I hope you'll subscribe or give me a thumbs up, and that helps to encourage me to do more videos. So, today, at the request of a good friend of mine, I am going to attempt to do the care that I give to my Calatheas. I want to put forth a disclaimer up front. I am by no means a plant expert, let alone expert on Calatheas. I just happen to really, really, really love these plants. And when I first started my collection, I killed them. I went to the internet, as most of us do, and I tried to gather as much information as I could so that I would be taking good care of my plant when I got it home. Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there regarding Calatheas, and again, I want to just say that this is my experience. This is what worked for me, and we all have to keep in mind this thought. If you don't get anything else from this video today, please keep in mind the fact that everybody's situation is different. Every home is different. Your atmosphere is different. Your humidity is different. Lighting, the type of lighting, you know, all west windows are not equal. Some people have porches over them, some don't. Some have trees out in front of their yards, in front of the window, and maybe that tree is 100 feet away, maybe it's 300 feet away. The temperature, you know, do you have your thermostat on automatic timer? Does it go down to a certain temperature at night and come up during the day? Is someone home during the day so that you have to have it a little warmer, or does it stay very cool in your house? Those are all variables that are going to make a difference in where you put your plant, how much you water it. Those are probably the two most important things that I have discovered. One of the biggest things that was very frustrating for me is that I heard a lot about misting and humidity. What I have found in my home is, yes, they like the humidity to be a little on the higher side, and when I say higher side, I'm talking 50 to 63 in there. And that's pretty much year-round for me. Now, in the wintertime, it'll get a little bit cooler. It's dropped down into the 40s, but because I keep all of my Calatheas together on the table, I think that helps to create the humidity for each other. I do not at this point run a humidifier. I can't say that I will never do that, or there may come a time when there is a need for it, but I am not and have not. I had a humidifier running one winter, and it actually did more harm than good. So that's my story. It's not for everyone. If you have seen my living room plant tour, my recent one, 2019, you will see the table that these plants sit on. They are in a west window, and I do have a porch with a cover. So the only light they get, natural light, is late in the afternoon, and depending on the time of year, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, hour to two and a half hours, maybe at the most. The rest of the light comes from, I have 3 lamps, one on that table, and it's got two bulbs in it. Both are 100-watt LED, and then I have a floor lamp right next to it, which is also equivalent of 100 watt, and that's also an LED. So that's the lighting that I'm giving them. As far as moisture, like I said, they pretty much give each other humidity because they're so close together, grouped together. I tried using pebble trays twice on 2 different plants, and both times I ended up with mold growing in that, on those stones. So I don't do that anymore. I know there are many people who do use that successfully, and you know, like I said, that's wonderful if it works for them, but it didn't work for me. The other thing that I want to really stress before I show you each plant individually is I was misting like crazy when I first got my plants, and the other comment that I hear made very often is to keep the soil evenly moist. I have not found that to be the case with any of my Calatheas or my Maranta. They like to dry out a little bit, and I'm not talking about the kind of drying out like you do with your succulents or cactus, where you go to feel it, and if it's dry you wait a couple more days and then you water it. I'm talking about when you put your finger down into the soil. Maybe I can show you that here. So you're going to put your finger down in the soil. Now right now I can tell that this plant needs water. And I'm going to go down all the way to my last knuckle. And it is dry. Now, by the weight of it, I can tell you the soil is probably damp from about here down. That for me means time to water. Now you're going to see a few leaves on this particular plant that are browning. That was like that from way back when I first got this plant. Gosh, I don't even remember how long ago anymore. But it was the only one that survived of all of my Calatheas. That's the only one that survived the first round that I had. And I had all of my Calatheas on a table on the other side of my living room, and it was in a walkway, and I believe that that might have contributed to the drying out of the plants. I know it sounds kind of strange, but the fact that they're in the same room and I haven't really changed much as far as their care or their lighting, I believe that that contributed to their downfall. What else? The watering, again, the soil. I use the same soil that I use for most of my plants, which is just a potting mix with a lot of perlite. And I want to say it's half and half, but it's not. It's not, and it's not 3/4, 1/4. It's in between there. Maybe 2/3 potting soil. No, I'm wrong. It's close to half and half, okay, but you want more potting soil than perlite. And then I have added some charcoal, and that for me just keeps the soil fresh and adds a little bit of drainage. And I've been giving them worm castings, and the last one that I repotted, I did add some coco coir. So we're going to see how that fares over time. I can see right now that all of my plants need to be, or could use a dusting. And the way that I do that is I just take my distilled water, and I use a microfiber cloth, and I just wipe them, holding the bottom of the leaf, and then gently wiping, and I do both sides. I think that probably the most important thing that I discovered with my family here is they love distilled water. And when I stopped using our well water is when I stopped having the major browning. Any browning that you see on these plants, which is very minimal, is left over from a long time ago. I really don't have any problems with that anymore since I moved them over to the west window and started using the distilled water. I think, a lot of times we talk about distilled water being too salty, and while that may be the case, I think that there's other things in distilled water that causes problems for our plants. For me, I think it's too much iron. We've got a very, very high concentration of iron in our water, and I think that's probably the culprit. All right, enough of my yakking. If you have any comments and you would like to contribute, even if it doesn't agree with what I'm saying, I welcome those comments because, like I said, everybody's home is different, everyone's atmosphere is different, and the way we take care of our plants is different from person to person. So this is just how I do it, and it's working great. So I decided to do the video on it. Okay, so, and the other thing I want to let you know is I am not an expert on the types that I have here, so please bear with me because I'm the botanical names can really trip me up sometimes, but I try my best when I know what they are to let you know so that you can look them up if you need to. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with this one. And if you've been following me, you are going to know the story behind this, but I'll go over it real quickly again for those of you who haven't seen it. First of all, this is a Sanderiana ornata, or pink pinstripe. This plant, I was down to one leaf. I could not get this to grow another leaf. And it made me sad because I didn't want to throw it away because it had a beautiful leaf on it, which was actually twice the size of the one that you're looking at right now. And it was like that for about a year. I have had a few people tell me that maybe it was going dormant. That may be the case. I really don't know. But the problem is I didn't want to throw it away and it wouldn't grow. And one day I was talking to Suzette from Suzette's Gardens, and she suggested that I put it in a plastic bag. And I thought, well, why not? Let's try it. So I did, and lo and behold, a 2 months or so later, I saw a new leaf coming. The original leaf did die because I didn't put enough air in the bag and the leaf was leaning up against the plastic, and we all know what happens then, right? It just rotted away. So this is the new leaf that came up, and now, as you can see, I've got another one about to open. And I haven't had it in the bag. I took it out of the bag and I grouped it with my other ones on my Calathea table. So I think we're through the rough spot. I'm not sure how keeping it in the bag has caused it to continue to grow, but it worked. Thank you, Suzette. And so we're gonna just see what happens. Okay. And then this one, of course, is she's just a little baby that I'm rooting up from one of my girls. That is and these, you should know, are not they're not from the Calathea family. This is the Maranta. And this is the red Maranta, although it is struggling to keep its color a little bit. It's still very healthy and doing very well. And I don't know if you can see that. A lot of new shoots and new growth. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you, I have a stand that my husband picked up from a rummage sale. That was also in my living room tour. It's kind of hard to get the lighting in here so that you can really see the beauty of it, but I took my my Maranta out of I had it in a long planter in my east window, and it did fine there for about a year. But for some reason, it wasn't liking this last month of summer, and I think it's because when we were getting those 100-degree days, I think it was just too warm. So I took it out of that window, I put it in pots, and I have it on those shelves, and I'll show you that at the end of the video. But moving along, and I'm sorry, sometimes I get wordy. This is the medallion, I believe it's called. And this one, I'm getting ready to repot. But look at the size of that leaf. I mean, it's, and I know that they get a lot bigger than this, but for me, this is wonderful. And as you can see, I've got lots of new growth coming up down in the center here. And I believe this is also in the medallion family, but don't hold me to that, folks. Like I said, I'm not an expert on the botanical names. I did try to do research on these at one point, but some of them look so similar that it's even hard when you're looking on the internet. It's really hard to even tell. Now this one I want you to see, because I told you I don't have any browning. That is from the original where I had it on the other side of my living room. Again, I haven't had any problems with my plants at all since I moved it to the west window. Very, very healthy, very big leaves, very lush color. And we have this guy, and I'm not sure. I think it's from the peacock family, but I'm not positive. But as you can see, she's too is very healthy, getting lots of new growth. And then of course we have the rattlesnake, or Calathea lancifolia is the botanical name. And this one too is growing like crazy. I mean, these all were in 4-inch pots. I'm sorry, yeah, 3 to 4 inch pots that I got from our local garden centers, or not Lowe's. It was either from Stein's or Milliger's, and they were very tiny when I got them, and I grew them up to be, you know, adult healthy plants. So, oh, we have another one here. This one is a recent addition. This is my Stromanthe Triostar, or Trio Star, not sure how you pronounce it. And you can see the beautiful color on there. Hopefully you can see that through the camera. And this one too, this damage was from when I got it. This was one of only a couple of plants that I did through mail. And for those of you that know me, you know that I'm not real crazy about that. I mean, it's exciting to get them in the mail. It's exciting to do the unboxing, but I'm always so leery. And this one happened to bring with it fungus gnats, so I had a fight on my hands with that, and I was not happy about that. And actually, normally when I open my plants, I will do that over my my green container most of you are familiar with, so that any old dirt goes in there and then it goes in the garbage and goes out. Well, this particular day, and I have never done this before, which was really frustrating for me. I was in a hurry and I didn't have my repotting table set up. So I took this plant over to my big bin where I keep my soil pre-mixed and ready to go for the most part. I do adjust it if I'm going to be doing cactus or succulents, but for most of my plants I use that mix that I make up ahead of time. And I made the mistake of taking off the cellophane off of this plant over that mixture. And just as I opened it, I saw that it was full of fungus gnats. I could have just cried. And I watched them drop into my soil. So, obviously, I ended up throwing that soil away. I took this plant outside immediately and got as much soil off the roots as I could and rinsed it under faucet water. On this one, I was desperate. And I sprayed it with my alcohol and water mixture just to be on the safe side. And then I sprayed the whole plant. Well, obviously after doing all that to it, it took its toll and I have a little damage from it, but it's okay. It's okay. It's not perfect. Life's not perfect. We're not perfect. I may at some point, when this gets a little bigger, I might cut those leaves off. But for now, I'm fine with it. But that's how that happened. So, word of caution, I used to always have a rule that when I brought a new plant home, I kept it, separated from the rest of my house plants for at least 7 to 10 days, because that's how long it takes for most insects to hatch, if they have any in the soil. But I didn't do that in this case, and honestly, I know people who never do that and they never have a problem. So that may be you, and you may be very fortunate that way. But after this happened, I'm a little bit leery about not going back to my old ways. And I know it's hard because we want to get it repotted up, and we want to put it in a good place where we can sit and look at our new plant because we waited so long for it to come, and I get that. But that's what happened to me, so I don't know what I'll do in the future, but that's that. Alright, so I am going to wrap this up here, and then I will be back to show you the stand with my Marantas on there. And I'm including those in this video because they're so close to the Calathea family as far as how they behave and the type of care that they need. And just to be clear, I know that the Calatheas are not from the prayer plant family. However, they do fold up at night and come down during the day. I watch them do it every day. Sometimes my husband and I will be sitting here watching TV after dinner, and all of a sudden we'll hear this like crackling sort of sound, and it's the leaves either, well, at night it's them going up. Sometimes in the morning on the weekend, we'll actually hear them moving to come back down. So that's the neat part about these plants. And like I said, I think for the most part, just to sum this up, I really believe that less is better when it comes to these plants. I don't believe that they're the divas that some make them out to be. I know that they can be, and I know there are people who have had problems with them, but I think once you find that happy place for them, you'll be very much rewarded with their growth. And then don't move them. You know, find a spot that where you won't have to rearrange and put them somewhere else for maybe the holidays. If you, you know, you get a Christmas tree, don't put your plants there, knowing that you're going to have to move them. I have found that they really don't like to be moved around a lot. The Maranta, not a problem, but the Calatheas, once you find a good spot for them, leave them be. And as far as light, again, no direct sunlight. It will burn. It will burn your leaves. At least for me, they did. And like I said, I don't miss them. And the humidity is right now it's at 64%, and that's about as high as it gets in here because I don't like it when it's humid. So I have my air conditioning on. I keep it about 70 to 72 degrees in here. 70 usually during the day. I'm sorry, 72 during the day and 69 to 70 at night. So that's the average temperatures. And I think I hope I covered everything. If you have any questions or comments, as always, I welcome them. I just ask that you know, be kind about it. And please do feel free to contribute. Feel free to correct me if I've said something that maybe is really off the wall that you don't agree with, and we can discuss it. Otherwise, I hope this has been helpful, and I wish you all the best of luck with your Calatheas, and I hope that you go out and buy more. I know I plan to, and I'm hoping to enjoy these for many, many years and grow them up into a beautiful, large plant. Okay, I will be back shortly with my Marantas. For now, I'll say goodbye. Okay, and I am back. And as promised, here is my praying hands plant, otherwise known as the Maranta. And this is the plant that I had the whole thing in one long planter tray in my east window of my dining room, and I ended up taking it apart and repotting it to put on this plant stand because I just thought it would go so beautifully on here. This stand is one that my husband got from a rummage sale, and he refinished it. And beautiful, just beautiful. I hope I'm not going too fast. As you can see, this plant is extremely healthy. It's growing like crazy. It loves it here. And this is it is in a south window. Oh, that's a antique jewelry box from my husband's favorite aunt. Just ignore the dust on there, folks. And, you know, that's another thing that I hear a lot, that the Marantas like to be in the shade, and I have not found that to be true at all. This is in a south window, and I have an equivalent of a 100-watt LED bulb right next to it, and also down there. And this plant was originally in about a 4-inch pot. All of the Marantas you see in my home came from that one plant. I put it in the south window, on the windowsill, and it started to grow like crazy. It grew out, sideways, and down, and it was hanging down from the windowsill about 2 feet. It was huge. And then I had a family member had to move in with me for a little while, and I had to do some rearranging, and I almost lost this plant. I was down to just a few leaves, but now, as you can see, and that was just last spring, my friends. This is all since spring, this growth. And again, I had this time I had it in the east window. So now I have it back in the south window, and I think it's doing wonderfully. Okay. So that's going to do it for me for today. I hope this was helpful for you. And I'd love to hear from you all. So until next time, you have a wonderful day. Bye now.